What's cracking? It's your boy Noel G right here with Taboo's Comics and Kicks podcast. You guys got to check it out, man. It is definitely the podcast to see. And when you check it out Fast and Furious style. You heard? Let's go.
Hola amigos, what's up everybody? Welcome to another edition of Taboo's Comics and Kicks. My guest today, I would have to say I really appreciate his humility, his love for his faith, the fact that he's always remained very humble, even with the success, even with all the things that he's done in film, in his career. I really appreciate him. Every time I see an interview, I'm like, man, he's kept it even keeled. I love and appreciate his story. He's done movies like Bruce Almighty. He's done movies like SWAT. We got Malibu's Most Wanted. We have Old School. And two of my favorite movies. Number one, Training Day, which I want to, before I go into that, I want to acknowledge his contribution to Fast and Furious legacy as well. But Training Day, the scene that I love the most is, hey, rookie, you ever had your shit pushed in? That, for me, is a classic line, ladies and gentlemen. The man I'm talking about, give it up for Noel G.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, man.
Did he ever answer the question?
He was ready. He was ready to make me cry, dog. In the introduction alone, bro, I was shedding a tear, dog.
Appreciate that, brother.
Nah, man, I thank you, man.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Just last night, I heard one of the best quotes ever. It was literally last night. I kid you not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on Instagram. I was watching it from The Rock. He said, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Mm.
And that was, from The Rock last night. He said that's one of his favorite quotes. And I just literally heard it last night.
That's dope.
And it was crazy, man. And, one thing I've learned in this business, man, is, and just in life, is you got to be nice and humble to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You never know who's who and what's what. And it's all about respect and just, treat people with respect. You get it back. And so that's just always been one of my things, man, is just, keep it 100.
First of all, the fact that you have done so much great work, inspired a lot of Latinos, a lot of kids that look like us. I'm from East LA, Boyle Heights. So for me, as a representative of Mexicanos, Mexican-American, Chicanos, when I see you on the big screen, I know you're Mexican and Italian. When I see you on the big screen, it makes me feel proud that one of us is representing. And you're going to different, whether it's comedy, whether it's action, you always bring representation. And even though you played Hector in so many different movies,
yeah.
I always love seeing Noel G's name on the big screen. Let's talk about how Noel G went from, the gang experience to now being on top of the world as an actor.
Well, it's kind of crazy, because it was funny. Up to the age of 13 years old, I grew up in a middle-class home. I pretty much had everything a kid could want at that time. My parents weren't rich, but they weren't poor. They were middle-class parents. I had food on the table. I had clothes in my room, had a place to shower. I was straight. But the problem is my dad, he was a miserable guy, hated life. His life was work television. He used to beat me physically, abuse me verbally. My mom was just a house cleaning lady at the time. So, my dad was the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And not to get, too deep, but my dad one time, he, I was 13 when it happened. My dad had a millionaire best friend who he worked with at his company. And this guy asked my dad, do you want to go sailing around the world with me on this boat? But if you come with me, you can't bring your kid with you. My dad's hobby on the side was he was a scuba diver. He was a fisherman. Long story short, I kid you not, as God is my witness, no fairy tale story, can't even make this up. My dad came home to a 13-year-old kid, gave me $500, packed up all his stuff, put everything in storage, sold the house, and left just like that. So when I was 13, I went from a middle-class home to having pretty much almost everything to literally having nothing but the clothes on my back, $500 in my pocket with no place to live. And that's where my quote-unquote gang life got started.
Yeah.
So I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, started chilling with the wrong people, whatever. I learned how to rent cars without asking people. I learned how to be a street pharmacist.
Yep.
Me and a lot of my homies were part-time movers. We'd move things from like other people's houses to like where we were at. And, I slept in laundromats, donut stores. There were times I didn't have a place to sleep. And then I got into the gang life because that's, they take you in as a family. I started doing the street thing, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I meet this girl one day at the age of 15. And one day she told me straight up, she goes, how come I never seen where you live and you always wear the same clothes? And I ain't gonna front, I started breaking down crying. I told her, hey, look, I'm homeless. What you see is what you get. I told her my story. Her dad was a pastor for a church. Heard my story, took me into the family. So I started living with this family who I didn't even know. And then what ended up happening, fast forward from there, and this ends the story, I was living with her, and she asked me one day, she goes, do you want to go to an acting class? I never thought about acting a day in my life. It was her who had the dream to be an actress, Hollywood model, the whole deal. I was living in the streets. I didn't even think I could be on TV. And so long story short, one day I went with her to this acting class, literally right place, right time. Never thought about acting a day in my life. I go into this class. I thought everybody was dorks and nerds because, I care less about whatever. I was just acting a fool. Right place, right time. There was a producer who was sitting in class scouting talent. Comes up to me after class, says, hey, man, you're funny. You want to be in a commercial? I said, what? I thought he was on some BS. It ended up being real. Gave my number 2 weeks later. The first thing I ever did was a Taco Bell commercial at the age of 15 years old.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah,
and
bro.
The fact that you
crunched all that story as much as I could.
No, that's great. The fact
Try
that
to give the commercial
that
version.
you were like, okay, I'm gonna take a chance on this acting thing. I come from the hood, neighborhood, street life. The fact that you took that leap of faith is important to know because I want the kids to understand that you can change your trajectory if you have the right moment, right situation, timing of it. The fact that the dude saw you and was like, yo, you're funny, you have something raw. You haven't worked in the industry before, but talk about that feeling of when you went on set in the commercial and being from the hood and you're like, yo, what am I doing here?
I was tripping, dog. I mean, I was like, I didn't think I was worthy enough to be on TV. I didn't even think that, I'm still tripping over the fact, like me? Like they got the right person here? Like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really tripping on like, is this really happening to me? You know what I'm saying? And what was funny was at that time, at 15, I was ignorant to residual checks. I didn't know what residual income was. I thought you have to work, get paid, work, get paid, work, get paid.
Yep.
So when I did the commercial, all these checks start coming in. And I thought it was a computer mess up. Because I don't know, but I was cashing the checks because, my story for court was going to be like, they kept on paying me. I didn't know. Right? And just for those of you who don't know what residual checks are, it's whenever you do a job in the entertainment industry and they show the commercial again and again and again, you get a check because it's still considered work even as it's being shown, even though you only worked on it one day. So I worked on it one day and I was getting paid for almost up to a year. So for one day's work, I was getting, it's like winning a baby lottery, you feel me?
Yeah.
And when it got a little weird, I called up the producer. I said, what's up? I said, why I keep on getting paid for this? He goes, oh, that's the way actors get paid. I said, what? I said, well, I want to be an actor. So next thing I know, he's like, man, I like you, man. Let me see what I can do for you. So he hooks me up with the manager friend of his. He goes, I got a friend who's a manager. He actually manages actors. Let me, make the intro. I said, all right, cool. So I went, I met the guy. I didn't know scratch from scratch. I walked in just like this, like, what's up? He's like, man, I like you, man. I'm going to start sending you out. But everything I got sent out on was Gangster 1, Cholo 2, Trigger. I was like, what? I thought I was here to act. I grew up like this in real life. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how the jobs started coming in.
Bro, do you remember how much, because you were 15, do you remember how much all those residual checks added up to at the course of the year?
Not really, man. It was a lot of money though, bro. You got to remember, like, this was, man, this was probably,
young, right?
This was like 75, 80, it was probably like
90s?
90. Yeah,
Okay.
it was probably 90 actually, because I was 15 when it popped off. I was born 75. So yeah, if you do, it was actually 90.
What was it at the time, like life-changing money for you? Were you like get a car?
Oh, this was straight up, man. You got to remember, this is back then. You know, you got to remember, like, back then, you got, like, today we spend $1,000 in a day. You know what I mean? But back then, you can make $100 last a month.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like, back then, it was like, this is
full tank of gas.
Dude, we just went to Carl's Jr. right now, got 2 cheeseburgers. It was $30.
Yeah, and they wanted a tip when you got to the register.
You ain't lying, bro.
Dude, everything wants a tip.
You ain't lying. And now they make you feel guilty about it because they ask you for the tip up front. You know what I mean? Like when you go to Starbucks, so now you feel like a butthead if you don't tip, because now they ask for it. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. I look them right in the eyes and hit no.
No.
Oh, the 10%, 15%. Yeah.
You're not about to guilt
and
me
you know
into
what's
giving
funny too is like you imagine every store you go to, almost, not every, but almost every store you go to, they say you want to donate to this, you want to donate to that. You imagine if you were donating at every damn store,
bro,
you won't be broke at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Bro.
All right, so
they found new ways to get it.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is I want to say it's before Homeboy Industries that you got these opportunities.
I was never with Homeboy
No,
Industries.
but I'm saying before that.
You're talking about
like,
Suspect.
Yeah, Suspect, but Homeboy Industries, like the fact that they had opportunity for ex-gang members to be doing commercials, acting. This is before that, right?
This was way before that.
So you kind of set the tone for like, okay, I was in the hood, I was street life, but I've changed my trajectory to really take this shit seriously.
Yeah, when I started getting more jobs after job after job, I was like, and you know, it's kind of funny because the way I say that we're in the best, worst, best business ever. That's how I say it. We're in the best, worst, best business ever. Just because, you know, all the things behind the scenes and all that stuff. And, you know, what Hollywood, I call it Hollywood, just so we're clear, what it has taught me is that you really don't know anything about anything unless you were involved in the situation personally or know someone personally. You really don't know jack shit about jack shit to be 100. You know what I'm saying? You just know what was presented to you.
Right.
But you really don't know, once again, unless you were involved personally or know someone personally, you really don't know nothing about nothing. Everything else is just you arguing over air because you just don't know. And that's one thing that this, you know, business has taught me. And that's why sometimes I laugh even at podcast interviews, radio interviews, magazine interviews, because I'm like, man, if you knew that person the way I know them, you might not be clapping and cheering for that person right now. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and when people get on podcasts or whatever, I'm like, thank you for saying the right thing. But you know, I don't know you personally to know you really about what you're saying. You feel what I'm saying? So I think our business is you got to be very careful. Yeah. You know, you got to be very careful of who you mix with, who you're involved with, what you do, who you do it with, all these types of different things. And just so we're clear, there's crookedness in any business. Yeah. But this one is part of the most cutthroat because people will, you know, backstab their own mom to be famous or backstab their own mom to get a job.
And it's been going on since the beginning of fucking Hollywood. I know, man. Hollywood.
And that's why I say we're in the best, worst, best business ever.
What was your first film that you ever, like feature film that you got?
The first one that I ever got was a movie that didn't go anywhere. It was called No Mother's Crying, No Baby's Dying. It was actually a movie. The first one I ever did. I was working at Kmart for 1 year. I actually quit my job for it. It was actually with Ice-T and Danny Trejo. But we're talking 30 years ago almost, right? So it was funny because I thought, you know, and Ice-T was big at that time, and so was Danny Trejo, Machete. Yeah. I thought like, oh, I made it, like it's going somewhere. That film ended up going nowhere. It didn't even make it to Jane's Videos. They don't even sell it in TJ on a blanket, bro. It didn't go anywhere. So, but my first movie that was ever in theater was The Animal with Rob Schneider and Adam Sandler.
That's right, you were in.
And that was my first movie. I had a cameo in that, and then that's where, you know, things started taking off. Phone started ringing more.
Yeah. Yo, I like that Noel, the fact that he went from commercial to first movie being with Adam Sandler, which is a great freaking start. From that, did you go into television? Or you kept going into film?
I went into anything and everything that would have me. You know what I mean? I had a manager that was sending me out for television, commercials, movies. And it was funny, when I first got in the career, it was funny actually, because I actually was trying rapping, comedy, and acting. Yeah. And I told myself, whatever one takes off first, that's the one I'm gonna go with. Right. And so I went with it, and there it is.
Comedy was, you were doing stand-up?
Yeah, I was doing stand-up at first. And
Ice House?
I was doing it everywhere. Okay. I was doing open mic nights and stuff like that.
Dope.
You know, my name wasn't really there yet to, you know, get into certain places or whatever. So, you know, as my name started quote unquote becoming a little more known, then it was easier for doors to
What was
open.
your comedy like? What would you talk about in your comedy?
I just, talk about real life, and you know how comedians are. Usually you just make fun of yourself. You know what I'm saying?
You remember any of your comedy bits?
Yeah, some of it, but it would be hard if you're like putting me on the spot to do it now without a real setting. You know what I mean?
What about rapping?
So I don't know if you remember this, G. I'm gonna refresh you on. So I don't know if you remember this. I was gonna bring it up to you. I was like, but I'll wait. But I guess now's the time. We met in New York for the first time. You remember that?
Dude, what year was that?
We met at the Billboard Award. I don't know if you remember. I was Eddie in the Guilty Conscience video.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. So remember they flew me out there just to stand on stage, and me and you met backstage for the first time.
Yo, Eminem, bro.
Remember that?
Goes back to the Eminem shit. Eminem.
When you big timed him.
No. That's before I big time.
No, it was Eminem when he was just blowing up. And remember, me and you were the only Latinos
That's
there.
Right, dude. I do remember that. Billboard in New York.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I think it was 1999, if I remember correctly.
Right
I think that's what it was.
The Guilty Conscience video was
for
big.
us, it was like maybe joints and jams going before Where's the Love?
Like 97, 98.
So this is before pre-Fergie, right? Or
I
was
think so. Yeah, it was somewhere when he was
It
starting to like come on the.
because Guilty Conscience was like 2001.
Okay, so maybe
it was no. It was actually before that. It was 99 or 98. It was somewhere in there. If you look it up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right. But me and you met backstage.
Yeah.
And the reason why we started chopping it up is because we were the only Latinos there.
exactly.
We were like, hey, what's up? And we started talking. But the first time I ever met you was in New York at the Billboard Music Awards backstage.
That's dope.
I was with Dr. Dre and Eminem, and they literally flew me there just to stand on stage because I was Eddie in the video, and they wanted me to stand on stage just so they could do their dance around me.
That's crazy. Do you remember a verse from when you started your rap career? Can you rock a verse right now?
Man, I could. Yeah, let me see if I. World problem trying to solve them has to do with an issue of race. Hit crime, waste of time. 9/11 will respond with crazy as a bomb. When a riot color strike, because of society not getting along, will cause more wrong. When we see it on the news, gangs starting to cruise, flashing a sign, living with a crazy mind. So combined to remind, packing a gat. No one wants to live with that. So with judging all completed, protection is needed. Out comes some. Oh man, I messed up. That was it though. I forgot some of it.
Let's go.
Now I wanted to finish it, bro.
Go ahead, finish it.
I forget the rest, man. But that was one of the ones I wrote when I was younger. But yeah, there was a little something for it.
How did you end up in the video for Guilty Conscience?
So I just, I had a manager and I was just getting auditions. Yeah. And so long story short, they called me in for an interview, and it was with, I even remember the name. If you remember this name, he was big time in the music with Dr. Dre at that time. Yeah. Do you remember this name by any chance? Philip G. Atwell? By any chance?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, okay, guy. He was Philip G. Atwell. He was Dr. Dre's like #1 dude. I don't even know if he's still alive today or what.
Was he part of Interscope?
I don't know, but he was like Dr. Dre didn't do anything without him.
Right.
And I met him. I had an interview with him, and he was like, you know what? Like, I like you, man. I'm gonna tell Dre about you, whatever. And next thing I know, like he made it happen. And yeah, so I just came through. So that's how
that's dope, bro. That's a dope story because, like, you were just positioning yourself like, yo, if I'm doing fucking film, if I'm doing the MC shit or comedy, one of the things is gonna pop off, and I'm gonna make it no matter what. And I love the never say never mentality. I had that same thing growing up. I was like, yo, I'm a b-boy, I'm a breaker, freestyle dancer. If I make it in as a background dancer or an MC or as an actor. Because I started going to acting classes too, but I always thought like whatever comes first, same mentality of like, and that's the hustle drive that before Instagram and social media. Let's talk about how you got your word out. Like, what was the thing? Were you passing out flyers that you were going to be at, at a comedy store? What was your way of getting your word out at that time?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because at that time, really, to be honest with you, I came in naked to the game, bro. I didn't really have no sense of how to do this or how to do that. It was kind of learn as you go.
Of course.
So as I was going on and on and on, I just started realizing like, oh, okay, now there's ways to advertise here. There's ways to get things going on here, whatever. And long story short, just to be real, what really helped me the most was as I started doing more movie/television, that's what got me more quote unquote known to be able to open up doors that were harder to open. And, you know how it is. Yeah. Once you start becoming known, people more so take your call.
They're more open to that.
People more so take your call than not take your call.
You know what? I like the fact that your hustle has been a theme throughout this conversation, and the bravado and his passion is infectious. And I love that. I love that he's very animated and he speaks his truth. That's something that I appreciate about you. Talk about the moment when you found out you're going to be working with Jim Carrey, because I want to get to Bruce Almighty, then we'll get to Training Day, and of course Fast and Furious. But Jim Carrey is one of my favorite actors, by the way.
Oh, that's what's up, man.
The fact that you got to play a frickin' that scene, I mean,
I could give you 1,000. I could give you 1,000 stories on that one, bro.
Let's talk about that, bro. Please.
Yeah. So like, it was crazy, man. I did this interview, and at first it was just, you're beating someone up in a parking lot, and because that he gets the revenge with the monkey, and we beat him up, whatever. And I just came in thug with it, and I just said, hey, this is what it is, whatever. And long story short, the director liked me, and he's like, yeah, let's get you up in there. And I was like, oh wow, okay, cool. And sometimes something doesn't hit you until it hits you. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then when you're on set and you see the magnitude of like, oh, what?
It is,
like,
right?
what it is.
Exactly.
Like,
You know what it is? Craft services. You're like, oh,
all day.
Yeah,
all
you're
day.
like, this is different. They don't got they don't got Tootsie Rolls. They
You
got
ain't
food.
lying. Hey, dog, you ain't fronting, homie, because it's funny. On set, those are the two things talked about the most, bro. Is either the movies you did or were in or whatever, or craft service.
Yep.
Craft service
It
always
was a big budget film when craft services
Yeah, it
had
was
like
bigger.
real food.
Yeah.
the biggest one I've ever been on. That I was in Batman, Dark Knight Rises. And
What did you play?
I had a cameo on that. I did a movie with Christian Bale. Shout out to David Ayer. He's part of the reason for my career. Shout out to David, man. But I was in this movie, Harsh Times. It didn't get its fair justice, but it's an awesome movie if you check it out with Christian Bale. Long story short, that's how I got in Batman: Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
I had a cameo in that. And anyways, man, not to change directions, but the craft service was a grocery store.
Yeah.
It was retarded. I was on a whole nother level. It was literally walking in and you can go grocery shopping for your house and then some. It was
And I've done that.
It was
I've
insane.
been on sets where I put some.
Oh yeah, we've all done that, bro. We've all put some extra in the backpack. When you ain't got funds, you get clever.
Day one, it's just your pockets. Day two, you got a little fanny pack. Day three, it's a backpack.
It's free, yeah. And then day four, you come with the grill.
Yo, they're gonna throw it away anyway after the movies. They're like, oh, you want to take some? Sure, take the whole thing. Because
I know. I'm like, you told the wrong person to take some because I'm taking some. I'm doing exactly what you just said. But no, with Bruce Almighty, Jim Carrey, I'll give you one story about Jim Carrey with the craft service. That guy took care of us, bro.
Yeah.
He brought in an In-N-Out burger truck, a Del Taco truck.
Shout out to Jim Carrey.
Yeah,
for
he
that,
brought
bro.
in like, I forget like what else was on there. Panda Express, I think it was. I forget. But I remember he would pay out of his own pocket for food trucks to be there, and he'd be like, that's my gift to the set.
That's
all
dope.
day, go as many times as you want to the truck, go grab what you want. I remember when In-N-Out was there, I had like 5 cheeseburgers that day. I was all over it.
Yep.
So yeah, he was cool, man. But just to work with that cat was like, you know what I mean? That was on a whole nother level, just to work with Jim Carrey. And I'll give you one funny story. So when we first beat up Jim Carrey, we want to be delicate because it's Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
So we're like, man, let's just, whatever. So we beat him up kind of.
Does he say, go ahead, guys, like let's make this for real?
That's what I was gonna tell you. So we did it, and then he did that, right? So then the second time around, we're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, let's give it to him. And he's like, all right, do it like the first way. So that was one thing about Jim Carrey right there, bro.
Was there anything with Jim, like outside of the movie, where maybe you and him had a personal moment off camera where he kind of gave you some advice, or you just had a cool conversation with him?
No, we did talk, but it's funny you say that. I didn't ask him for advice because I think I was still in awe of working with Jim Carrey.
I would still be in awe today.
But yeah, I am to this day, straight up, man. I mean, this guy has classic movies, and his character changing is on a whole nother
I think
level.
there was that one year, was it 92, where he didn't miss? It was like Ace Ventura.
Oh, he's literally
The Mask.
I mean,
The Mask and something. Like
he's
all in
literally
1 year.
Baskin Robbins, bro. He's 31 flavors, man.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
But
Jim
I'm saying
Carrey.
that 12 months, he had 3 #1 films. It was Ace Ventura.
Well, you know what's funny you
Mask, and
say
something
that.
else. It was
You know what's funny you say that.
Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah, Dumb and Dumber. That's right.
Yeah,
You know,
like, he
but
didn't miss.
I got to tell you this. Funny you say that though, because Bruce Almighty was the #1 film of the year in 2003 over any other film made. That was the highest grossing film of the year out of all the films that were out there.
What other movies came out that year? Do you remember?
I don't remember, man. You got me on that one.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
That I'd have to go back and check. But I do remember that they were excited over that. They celebrated it.
Number one in any year is going to be big, but I know there's a bunch of big movies.
No, I mean, I'm just talking about for it to be one of the biggest films of the whole year over any other film that was made that year. That's insane. But that just shows you how much weight his name carries. You know what I'm saying? So
Jim Carrey, because I saw Jim Carrey's evolution from In Living Color, where he was amazing, fucking killed it. Fire Marshal Bill, Viragosa, all these different
Man on the Moon,
all these great movies that he's done from the time that he went to In Living Color or started in Living Color. Talk about the bigness of being on set. Like, what was that like? Were you guys laughing the whole time, or were you guys like, was he pushing you to be on point? What was the vibe like?
Oh, nah. He was hecka cool, bro. He was chill. Like the way we talk, and he would talk just like that. But he was funny. He was making us laugh. He did a lot of his facial expressions.
That's dope.
Yeah, he would joke with us. We got to see it live right here in front of our face like that. No, he was a personable person. Like he was straight up. Like there was his humility was right there too.
That's
like
awesome.
I love people like that. I love people who would talk to the guy who's washing the window the same way they would talk to the guy who owns the building.
Exactly.
You know, and that's how Jim Carrey was. He was a humble dude, very nice cat. So
do you still keep in touch with him?
No.
If you saw him, you guys.
Oh yeah, automatic.
Cool.
I'm sure. I mean, I can't say that because I can't speak for someone else, but I'm sure it would be. If I had to guess / assume, I would think that it would be that because he gave us so much love on set, man.
Is there anybody that you've worked with that you built a close relationship with, you talk to?
Yeah.
Who's
There's
that?
a couple. Terry Crews is one of them.
I love Terry Crews.
Yeah,
shout out to Terry Crews.
Oh, that's my dog right
You
there,
worked with
man.
him on Training Day.
Huh? Yeah, he was on that. And then I did like 5 movies with Terry. Malibu's Most Wanted.
Yep.
Oh,
Harsh Times, the one I just brought up. He's up in that joint. What else, man? We did 5 together, though. I forget the other 2.
Training Day was his first ever movie, right?
Yeah, it was crazy, man, in Training Day because he was, he didn't have no lines. And, he was the bird clapper guy. And it's, those weren't real birds, right?
What were they?
That was animated in.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't real birds.
The pigeons, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like,
So since we're in Training Day, let's talk about that experience. Being on, I know you were on screen with Ethan Hawke, but being in the presence of a film with Denzel Washington, what was that like for you?
So Denzel, cool guy, very humble dude also as well. But the only thing with Denzel is you had to know when to approach him and when not to approach him. When he was in work mode, you of course got to respect that because when it was crazy, man.
He's like a method actor, right?
He was, well, let me put it to you like this. He was in action before action. And you know what I mean? And Ethan Hawke was a little more approachable because he was just, the white goofy guy on set, just chilling and loving everybody. But and the thing that made Training Day interesting too is that's the first movie ever that Denzel played a bad guy in. So if you got to remember that too. That's his first movie ever where he played a bad guy. There was no other movie.
I remember watching that movie, and to your point, I always remember him being a good guy, right? And then you watch that movie, and you're like, "There's no way he's going to be a crooked cop," because you watch the movie, and you're like, "He's just he's pushing the line, but he's not going to be crooked."
He added a Bible verse to that movie, and the Bible verse that he added is "By the sin's wages your death." And I think I said it right, sin's wages are death or something like that. But the reason why he did that and the reason why he died so violently at the end when the Russian came with the machine gun and shot him up, because he wanted to show that if you live a life like that, you die a life like that. And by the wages of sin is death. That's the scripture. By the wages of sin is death. And he attached that scripture to his script. And that's what he wanted to show. So he wanted to show like, you may have the glory for a moment, but at the end, you're going to slip up and get caught up and you're going to end up going out.
That scene, it's Ethan Hawke, Noel G. What's the other actor's name?
We had Raymond Cruz and Cliff Curtis.
Love Raymond Cruz. Shout out to Raymond Cruz. That moment where Ethan Hawke is playing cards. He's like, yo, hey, you ever had your shit pushed in? Dude's like, what? Right? And he's like, I had my shit pushed pushed him.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking epic, bro.
Yeah.
There's a couple movies that's like blood in, blood out for me.
Right.
That
I
you
got
have like the dialogue that
No,
you
like,
wanna,
yeah, like the
you know what I'm saying?
Goodfellas and
yeah,
and
there's dialogue,
Bronx
right? There's
and-
those moments.
Right, I
Talk
get it.
about that moment because that was such an iconic fucking scene.
Well, what was cool about that, you know, as the director, he let us improvise a lot. But when we got to the bathroom scene where we had Homeboy in the tub, we had to be a little more on script there. But he let us play with the script, is what I'm saying at the start. He gave us free reign. Shout out to Anton Fuqua. Man, we're doing a lot of shout outs on this show. That's what's up. But yeah, Anton Fuqua too. He you know, he pretty much said, look, you know, make it your own, play with it a little bit. And then, you know, when it's time to hammer down, let's hammer down, whatever. And so that's what we did. And long story short, man, as you see what it was. But you know what was crazy about that scene, which nobody knows? I'll tell you a fun fact on there. And this was really hard to do, but it was insane. And somehow, some way, it worked out. Denzel got sick or something. I don't know really what the details were, but he got sick or something. And they had complications on that set because I believe it was he wasn't feeling too well. And when you're Denzel, you can call in sick. You can't do that when you're Noel G, right? So what ended up happening was we filmed that scene. It took 7 days to film.
That one scene.
That one scene, but we shot it on a sound studio and we shot it every Monday. So literally we did that scene Monday, Tuesday, and finished like that.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know that, man. So it was shot on a sound studio. We had to keep the continuity. So literally we would shoot Monday, rest for a week, shoot Monday, rest for a week, and like that. And that was a very hard scene to like film, come back into, to keep that tempo, you feel me? But somehow, some way we did it and it worked out.
So all that dialogue at the table is pretty much you guys.
No, it was scripted, but I'm just saying he let us, you know, play outside the box a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
For his
Yeah.
gun
No. It was on script, but again, he just let us play outside the box a little bit. We got to ad lib a little bit, and he just said, "Make it your own." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you saw Lonzo,
sometimes you got to flavor it a little bit, just so
put
you
a
know.
little seasoning on it.
when you
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
Lonzo's performance, because he was Lonzo, bro. He was in
he
Denzel.
was not
Lonzo,
Denzel.
did you think it was Oscar worthy?
I'll be real with you. You know, it's Denzel. I felt like he should have won the Oscar before Training Day to keep it 100.
Yep.
Philadelphia. I mean, it was a good performance. What's that? The one that the boxing movie.
Hurricane.
Hurricane, man. Like, come on, dog. You know what I mean? Like,
Remember the Titans.
yeah. Remember the classic movie, man. I see that all the time. But you know, you got to remember, you know, back then there was a lot of politicking going on with race.
Facts.
And all that. And I think that was a part of it. But I think Denzel 1,000,000,000%, just so we're clear here, not without a shadow of a doubt, should have got an Oscar. But should I say, you know, it should have been for that movie? Again, I just said it should have been for some movies maybe before that.
Okay.
I think that should have been maybe like his third or fourth.
Yeah.
You know, but I know back then there was a big race issue. And that was part of, all right, well, let's start nominating some black people.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Tell me I'm lying.
No, you're absolutely right. My boy Antoine Tanner was here the other day, and he talked about his dialogue with Denzel. Denzel saying, even if you play the freaking villain, make sure your villain is likable. Make sure that even if you're like the worst piece of shit, someone out there can see humility or some vulnerability that you're like, wait, I can see why he became, you know, that person.
Right.
Did you see that in the character, Lonzo?
I mean, well, first of all, you know, I just like movies like that, period. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Bad movies like that. I'm just a
I'm
fan
the
of,
bad guy.
Yeah, dog. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's boring playing the good guy, right? You know what I'm saying? But, so I mean, with that said, I like the whole movie, period.
Right.
So I thought his character brought it, and yeah, I did like the.
That's dope.
I did like the performance.
What was your personal favorite scene from the movie? Even
Even
if you're not in it, what was your personal favorite scene?
You know, to be honest with you, man, it's kind of funny. I kind of like the scene where, you know, he started exposing himself to Ethan Hawke, where he started saying like, you know, hey, this was all part of the plan, man. Like, I've been planning this for weeks, and the way Ethan Hawke was kind of like taken off guard, like what? Like what just happened? You know what I'm saying?
I've been planning this all week, son.
But yeah, but again, there was so many classic moments in that film. And then I like the scene too where he meets the three guys in the restaurant. And they're talking about he pulled out the peanut butter.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh, come on. He got the 5150 charge.
Right.
Yeah.
So and then homeboy is like, he beat the system. Let him go. And the cops are. You know what's crazy about that movie? I'll give you one more fun fact. That movie originally was titled Rampart, because that movie was about the Rampart police. Mm-hmm. But Rampart threatened and said, if you guys name that movie Rampart, just, coming down on us as a police department only, we'll sue you.
Right.
So they changed the name from Rampart to Training Day.
That's a
But
classic.
the original title on the script was Rampart.
Training Day. Would you say that that's a top Denzel movie?
The Training Day is always going to make my top 5 movies of all time.
All time?
Regardless. Denzel's my number one favorite actor of all time.
Yeah.
But Training Day is always going to be top 5. It's just one of those movies that you can watch over and over again, and you'll find little nuggets, or you'll find different things that you like. I mean, you end up liking Denzel in the movie.
Yep.
You kind of hope that he comes around a little bit. Then he jacks the dude for all that money, and you know what I mean. But it's
definitely a classic, bro. It's definitely a classic.
It never goes out. It never goes out of style. But
no, and the fact that you had people like Dr. Dre, Macy Gray, right? Snoop,
yeah, he was up in there. You had all those little gold nuggets of cameo roles, that just came in and did their thing and just brought it.
Were you bumping into any of them on set when you were there, or your scenes were different days?
No, our scenes were different days. Like sometimes it's so funny because sometimes I do a movie and you don't work with that actor on that day, and you're watching the movie at the premiere, you're like, oh, what? Homeboy's in there? Like, oh, hello.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You just don't know till you know.
Was that how you got the opportunity to do Fast and Furious, or was that?
No, Fast was before that.
Before that? Okay,
yeah, cool. So Fast, to be honest with you, man, is...
Can we kick off Fast correctly, though? Because we're in January of 2026, so it's officially the 25th anniversary of the original Fast and Furious.
Oh, wow, man. That's
so
crazy.
Congratulations, number one. Well, so congratulations, number one.
Thank you, man.
Number two.
So the 25th anniversary, rest in peace to Paul Walker, of course, first and foremost. And salute to everybody that's been part of it, whether it's Tyrese or Ludacris, Vin Diesel, Rock, Statham.
Jason Statham, yeah.
I mean,
there's so many to
Michelle
name in there.
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
It just goes on. And I just have love for what the
What's
contribution.
What's the girl's name that plays Dom's sister?
Jordana Brewster.
I met her, just a quick story. I met her maybe 15 years ago at an Xbox thing in LA at the Peterson Automotive Museum. I was with my son. She was the best human being ever. She was so sweet, bro. I don't know if you kept in contact with her or you know her well, but she was the nicest human being. Took a bunch of photos with my son. She was sweet.
That's cool, man. That's what's up.
When you read that script, Fast and Furious, you're like, oh, it's a story about cars. Like, did you feel connected to it?
Nah, not on that one. But, I didn't get to read the script until later, because you got to remember, when you do the audition, they just give you a little piece of the script.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I went in, I didn't really know what it was fully about. You know what I'm saying? And long story short, it was crazy because that audition and getting the call to be in that movie and then finding out later what it was, started a whole fire on just the car scene. Yeah. And, it took me in a different direction too, because before that I was always into cars, but I was never really into those type. I was into lowriders more so. And then Fast and Furious, kind of changed me onto those cars now. So now I'm into both. So now But Fast and Furious is what really, to be honest with you, kicked off the roller coaster in the career. When Fast and Furious kicked off, the phone started ringing a lot more. And that's when things started kind of taking off. And then I got Training Day. Yeah. And then, SWAT, Malibu's Most Wanted, and then everything else, The Purge, Batman, and everything else started, kind of happening. And I was like, then the television show scene started taking off. And, to be honest with you, I got to thank Fast and Furious for a lot of it, because that's what kickstarted the career.
Who did you connect with on Fast and Furious? Were you connected to Paul?
Yeah, Paul and Vin Diesel.
Okay.
Vin I still talk to this day. I was actually,
I just saw a video with you.
Vin I talk to this day. And so that's my people right there. Paul, I'm not going to say we were like best friends or nothing, but it was all love. Every time we saw automatic love. I know his mom, his dad, everything, and his brother. I'm real close to Cody Walker. Cody I talk to a lot. We do a lot of events still to this day, me and Cody. We were actually together just recently in December. We did an event in Arizona and everything. But Paul was the most humblest cat that you could ever meet, man. Genuine dude, and nothing fake about him, bro.
He seemed like that.
Oh, he was 100 plus. And you know, the day that happened was one of the hardest days ever. But you know, he's still alive in our hearts.
Of course,
his legacy still goes on, and you know, it was just crazy. But yeah, Paul was just, I love that dude, man.
Yeah,
my favorite moment from Paul is when he's walking out of the thing with Tyrese. He's like something like, "Yeah, what up, cuz?"
Oh yeah, that was funny.
You know a deep story with Paul and a learning experience with him, man, that you know should just go out to the world. Is I'm good friends with one of his best friends, which is Sean Lee.
Okay,
and Sean Lee was ride or die with him, like, and I'm very close to Sean Lee. And there was one thing that you know kind of hit me hard was Paul, when he got into the car before he drove around, he was preparing for an event that he was going to do later.
Right.
And that's what they were doing at the time. They were just preparing for an event in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the guy comes to take him around the block in the car or whatever. His last words, he said, "I'm going around the block. I'll be back in 5 minutes." Closes the door and he drives off. Now, no one knows his last words in the car, but to everyone else, "I'm going around the block. I'll be back in 5 minutes." And then he dies.
Wow.
So you never know when you're going to go, man. Like, that'd be like just us on the podcast. I die when I leave, or I'm going to the bathroom. You have a heart attack there. Like, you just never know when you're going to go. So it just showed me how precious life is, you know?
Of course. And I second that. You know, I'm a cancer survivor. So dealing with that head on and wanting to understand that life is definitely short, especially when you have, you know, an opportunity to say, you know, I love you to someone, a family member, a friend, or anybody that you come in contact with. Let's talk about Fast and Furious, what it was like building those relationships with those people, because you basically built a family with a franchise.
Yeah, who I connected with was, you know, Vin Diesel, Paul, Michelle Rodriguez, the director, my boy Chad, who plays Jesse in the film. We still stay in touch, do a lot. My boy Caesar from Fast 4 and Breaking Bad. These are people that I really connected with and just stayed friends with till, you know, still to this day, that, you know, they're in my back pocket, call them whatever, like people like that.
Getting to set that first day, like you said, you were into lowriders, probably classic cars, you know, maybe muscle cars, and now you're on the set with all of these foreign import cars. What is your energy like? What is the energy you got? You know, Paul Walker, you got Vin Diesel, everybody coming to set, and what is the first scene you shoot?
The energy was crazy, man, back then, because, you know, it literally was like getting paid to party. It was pretty insane. You know, there was a moment where I was like, "Are we filming a movie here?
Yeah.
Like, are we working?
Girls, cars.
Yeah, I'm like, are we working today? Or are we like, what's going on?" Right. And so the energy was insane. Caught a couple child support cases on that set. And, no, I'm playing. I'm playing,
That's
bro.
his comedy roots, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm messing. Yeah. But it was insane because, you know, that's kind of how, to be real, how we came up with the word family, because of the way it felt on set, is that it really was like a family.
Right.
And, you know, again, so the energy was on a whole nother level. And again, you know, when we shot that movie, it was an independent movie at the time. We didn't know what it was going to do, where it was going to go, the franchise that it is today. We didn't know any of that. Even though the racing was tough before that, because when we got a lot of people for the movie, we actually went to the real races where they were street racing in real life and said, "Hey, you want to be in a movie? You want to be in a movie? Want to be in a movie?" And we just had all kinds of people show up out of nowhere. So many people came that we actually had to reject people and say, whoa, 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 it's too much.
Right.
And but my whole point is that movie is what put street race. It was already, just to be clear, it was already on the scene before it was on the scene. Just to be clear and give it that respect. But all I'm saying is that movie amplified it on a whole nother level than what it already was.
Yeah, I would say it made it mainstream.
Yeah,
right? Like
and
if you knew, you knew, but
and it was crazy because I hear all the stories, man. I can't tell. I even got busted. I did 6 months in jail for street racing after that movie because I had a little problem, man. Every time I pulled up to a light, cats would recognize me. And they'd be like, "Let's race."
Wow.
And I'd be like, "Oh," and I would.
What car did you have?
I had a Honda at the time. That's how I got the Honda in the movie. I was just a Honda Civic. It was a 2-door, and it was funny because every time I was in that car, That's how I ended up driving the Honda in the movie. The director saw me pull up in a Honda, and he's like, "Oh, Noel drives a Honda in real life. Let's just put him in a Honda." Because back then, that was the most affordable, nicest, cheapest car, and everybody and their mom had them because it was the nicest, cheapest, affordable car. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry was driving one, and I was one of them driving it, whatever. So long story short, he saw me in the car. He's like, "Hey, let's just put Hector in a Honda." But every time I would get challenged to a race, every time I was recognized on the street, and I'd never turn it down because I just wouldn't turn it down, right? So I'd be like, at one time we were racing, and 3 bike cops came out of nowhere. And I didn't even think it was that serious at the time. So we got pulled over. I got a reckless driving ticket. They towed my car. I didn't get arrested that night. I thought, oh, okay, I'm just probably going to pay a fine and done, right? I never forget, dog. I went to court and they said, yeah, it's reckless driving. And they're like, you're going to do some time on this. I was like, what? Some time on this? This is when it hit me. I was like,
was it county?
Yeah, it was just county. I've never been to prison. I've always done county time. I was like, I did 4 years though, but it was all county. But long story short, it was crazy because when I go, what do you mean I'm gonna do some time on this? They're like, yeah, reckless driving is a very serious matter.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but it's a misdemeanor. And they're like, yeah, misdemeanor or not. So I never forget, bro. They gave me a year in jail. I ended up doing 6 months out of a year.
Wow.
And I was on probation at the time for some stuff previous to that anyways. So it was a violation of my probation, and I did time, and I did 6 months locked up. And I was like, oh man.
That's crazy.
I was in there for reckless driving.
I'm just playing Hector.
I was being Hector.
Not me. It was Hector.
And it was funny, dog. I'm locked up, and they're aren't you Hector from Fast and the Furious? And I'm locked up, and I was like, yeah, that's me. They're like, what you in for? I'm like, yeah, you wouldn't even believe me if I told you. Reckless driving.
How much driving did you all have to do on set? And who was the best driver?
They, Vin Diesel and Paul got the most training.
Yeah.
They
got real training.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, they were offset. Like they were offset working. It was crazy. Yeah, they're probably NASCAR drivers now. You know what I'm saying? Like they got the most training. With the driving and stuff, you got to remember though, a lot of it too was animated in part 1. And I'll give you one thing that a lot of people don't realize when they watch the film because you're so stuck in the film. But if you remember in part 1, I was the one who started the race. So when they did the race, they only went straight. So when they went straight, they end where we're all at. So
they cheated.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So like people it doesn't really hit people when you're watching a movie, but you kind of think like, how did everybody get from here to there before they did? And they're the ones speeding. You feel what I'm saying? So
movie magic, ladies
movie
and
magic,
gentlemen.
bro. That's Hollywood magic, bro. So like the driving is there, but it's not there. Like you got to know to a sense, but then you don't really have to know to a sense because there's tricks like that. You understand? That's all I'm saying. But they still were taught, and they learned some stuff that was, unteachable.
Is there a Fast and Furious after that you wish you could have been in?
I'm gonna say it because I'm just gonna say it. I wish. If they asked me to be in all of them, of course I'd be in all of them. Of course. That's a no. That's a no-brainer, right? Yeah. But I'm not a fan of where Fast and the Furious has led to. It just got too out there, bro. When they went to space in part 9,
that was weird.
And they're doing like all this. It became a superhero movie, and I'm not really a fan of that. I like when it kept to its original roots. Yeah. I think part 11 is cars underwater. Part 12 is cars meet dinosaurs. Part 13, I'm playing, bro. It's a joke. But
Cars meet dinosaurs. I like that.
I'm just messing though. But you get what I'm saying though. Like it just went too. It just went too left field for me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
But there's none in there that you wish you could have number 3, 4, whatever.
I wouldn't mind being in part 3.
Because you were in 2
the Tokyo Drift.
Oh, that was dope.
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, that was really dope.
But that's when it kept to the roots of like the real racing. And I was in 1 and 7.
1 and 7.
I was in, and I might be coming back to part 11.
Ooh.
Is there a part 11?
There's a part 11, and what I love about this is this is what they say. So we'll see if they keep their promise. We'll see if they keep 2 promises.
Okay.
First promise is we'll see if they keep their promise by bringing me back.
Of course.
That's the first promise. This is Hollywood, and I got a saying in Hollywood, if all the promises that were made to me were kept, I'd be a billionaire, not a millionaire, right? But the second thing is in part 11, they're going to go back to the roots of part 1. So they're saying that they're going to bring it back to its
LA?
to its original
like street
racing, and because it just got too superhero for me. I tell people like this: if you're a superhero fan, you're still a fan of Fast and the Furious because that's what it's become, a superhero movie.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to go back to a lot of the original cast?
That's what I'm hoping for. That's my
Yeah,
point. That's what
yeah.
I'm praying
Okay.
for. I'm praying that they go back not only to the original roots of the racing, but bring back a lot of the original characters. And quote unquote, I'm supposed to be up in there. I heard that from the director himself and Vin Diesel himself. So I'm praying that I come back.
We want Noel G in the next movie.
Yeah, I'm like, dog,
put it
like,
out there.
Put out a poster or
out
something,
there,
bro.
please.
Did they bring back Tyrese in that?
Oh, he's locked in. Ludacris is locked in. Of course, they're all locked in. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how
I even believe The Rock's coming back too.
Oh, that's
so
dope.
no more. What was it? Hobbs and Shaw, Shaws and Hobbs.
I'll be real with you. Just keeping it one. I didn't even watch Hobbs and Shaw.
You didn't like it when they're flying off the cliff and stayed on the lane.
I didn't even watch it. That's like Point Break stuff, right? That's too like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When they're jumping out of airplanes
No, but
with
he
cars,
held it
like, come
together,
on,
bro.
dog.
He held
like,
it together.
right?
I'm like, come on, G.
He held it together. I'm the Rock.
When I saw The Rock with a minigun, I was like, come on, dog. Like, this is Fast and Furious. This ain't,
Yeah.
you know, Batman
mean,
37. I don't know.
Noel, to your point, you know, meeting you in New York, but still, like, even though we haven't seen each other physically in a while, like, I still have so much love and respect for you since the first time I met you. And yes, we've evolved. Yes, we've done more things. But the reality is that I still see us at that moment, like, on the up and up. Like, the trajectory was like, keep going. And then, you know, you did your thing or continue doing your thing in film and television. I'm doing my thing with Black Eyed Peas. But when we come back together for my podcast, it's all love. And I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate you being here, taking time out of your daily routine. I want to talk about your faith because it's important for people to know how beautiful it is to inspire your youth. You do speaking engagements. You talk about motivational speaking because I want to end with that because that's important. I do my keynotes too. They're different because I'm talking about prevention of cancer, you know, being removed from my addiction days because I was heavy back in the day. Now I'm 18 years removed from that. But knowing the higher power and the frequency of spirituality and however you receive it and how you share it with the youth, talk about that, where you're at now.
Yeah, no, thank you. And real quick, if you don't mind me asking, what was your
Testicular cancer stage 2.
That's what you had?
Yes.
What is that? What?
Right testicle. Had cancer on my right testicle. Got it removed. I had a tumor that grew from my right testicle in my back. Like it spread to my back.
Okay.
And the cancer was spreading around my body.
Oh wow.
So I had to go into chemotherapy 12 weeks, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. And this was in 2014.
Wow.
So I was pretty in bad shape, dude.
And man, you look at him. You
Looks
look
great.
fresh,
Thank
man.
you,
Like you look. You know what I'm saying? Like you look.
Yes, sir.
Man, you defeated a beast.
Yes, sir.
Like real talk.
Big
and,
C.
And the reason why that goes a long way with me, man, just to be honest with you, is because my mom fought cancer. She had breast cancer.
Yep.
Was healed from it.
Yep.
Was healthy for 2 years, and then got
It came
leukemia
back.
cancer. You know, a different type of cancer. Leukemia came and attacked her. She had cancer for almost 10 years of her life, and then a brain tumor took her out in 2 months. And so I've seen it firsthand, is my point.
Yes, sir.
And that's no friendly thing to deal with. You know what I mean? And what were you addicted to, if you don't mind me asking?
Cocaine, ecstasy, weed, freaking alcohol. Alcohol and cocaine were my two vices.
Got you.
Heavy.
Right.
Because the alcohol was there all the time. We were performing. I would
Right.
drink on stage. I was drinking at 11 and I've talked about this. So this is not like, oh my God. Yes, I did, but I'm 18 years removed. I've been living this sober life. I love it. I'm healthy. I'm alive. And for those people, yes, success came really quick. It came from 0 to 60. Even though it took a long time period for me to have success, I didn't know how to manage money. I didn't know how to manage the bigness of what was happening to me, going from my mom's couch to now being able to buy a home and overindulging in that lifestyle. And I was overwhelmed by, just all the fame and success that I started overindulging in alcohol and drugs. And I just kept getting worse and worse. When in 2007, I fell really hard, had my moment of clarity. And from 2007 till now, I've been sober.
Amen, man. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's
But it was creator. It was a higher power that allowed me to tap into that spirituality part, and whatever faith people believe in or whatever higher power that is, it's real, bro. It's a real thing. And I felt like when I read about your testimony and how you're able to inspire the youth and use your words, motivational speaking, from like going from, the 13-year-old kid that was with $500 to being able to work your way up through acting, through comedy, through rapping, whatever it was to get your hustle. Like, I appreciate that more than anything because your faith has allowed you to motivate, to be motivational and inspire the youth.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. That means a lot. And man, amen to what you conquered and defeated. Because if you let those bad habits take over your life and consume your life, you know where that could lead to.
Of course.
And you wouldn't have had this glory story. You would have had a whole nother story.
Of course, man. And bro, I was a dad at 17, teen parent, counted down and out because I had a kid at 17. I was a high school kid. But I started my career in 95, which is 2 years after I had my kid.
Right.
And fortunately, I had Will.i.am and Apple as my brothers to be able to dream big, dream that we can be on a big stage one day and fulfill our dreams and really build a career. But the motivation was my son. And for me to let him down was disappointing because—
And how old are you now, bro, if you
I'm
don't mind?
50.
Oh, we're the same age.
75.
Yeah,
Yeah, July 14th.
July 14th?
Yep.
I'm October 14th.
There it is.
We both got the 14 in there. That's what's up, man. That's crazy, dog.
Yeah, man.
But, your story is very similar to mine because one of Mike Tyson's famous comments, is he said, rich too soon, smart too late. And that's what happened to me, bro, too. I didn't know how to manage my money.
Yep.
I didn't know who to trust with my money. And, I was just the fool at the table with the bottles and the girls and acting all crazy and wild. And a lot of my money got, pissed away.
Of course.
And, now it's like, damn, I don't really have nothing to show for it. Second time around, I'm being smarter, wiser. But, the first time around, I wasted, thousands on stupidity, bro.
What are you working on now? Like, is there anything in the future that we could expect?
Yeah, G, just, staying busy, man. Got a documentary that I'm working on. A movie that I just wrapped up with Quavo and John Travolta.
Okay.
It's a big one coming out. And then, I think it came out already, High Rollers.
Mm-hmm.
And then another movie I just finished with Kevin Pollak. I got something with my boy Aldamado and Alan Aldamado. I'm sorry, I said your name wrong. I apologize, bro. And Usher, doing a movie with them soon. And got some other things that are in the works that are popping off.
That's dope. Well, I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud that we reconnected. I know we talked about that, I don't know, 99, 2000 era.
Yeah. I think it was 90 if we're being exact, or 99.
99.
Oh, 99.
Okay, I'll take 99.
Yeah, I was giving you a multiple choice.
But the good thing about it is that we still remain the same. Hopefully we could continue to build on our friendship now that you've been part of the podcast. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, bro. I appreciate you more than you know. And a lot of love, man. It goes without words, goes without saying. So I just want to say here and now,
ladies and gentlemen, give some love to my brother Noel G.
Thank you guys, man.
That's right, y'all. It's Taboo Nawasha, and I hope you enjoyed geeking out with me and going straight into geek mode. For more information, for more videos, subscribe, like, and comment. Share it with your friends. Much love. There it is.